I wish I could tell you it wasn't a challenging time with the whole COVID-19 thing going around. Mass layoffs, people getting sick, infected. To be honest with you, it's a little challenging, scary for a lot of folks. Death toll rising, infected count going up. It's rough. It's rough, you know. I mean, as a country, as a society, we'll get through it. Yeah, New York State is hit pretty hard. They're saying it's the epicenter. There's issues going back and forth between the federal government and the state over supplies and what's necessary and what's not necessary. But I tell you, it's necessary to say that real people are affected right now. And real people are dying. It's crazy, Been watching the news reports, been trying to keep up with things, been trying to just stay sane through the whole thing. I'm wondering when I'm going to get laid off or if I'm going to get laid off or waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean, you really don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes you can lose sleep over the issue, just trying to figure out what's what. Like I said, it's interesting times, strange times. Like it's been said, I think this COVID-19 infection or outbreak is going to probably change the way that we see infections moving into the future. May change life as we know it. I don't know. Some people are saying this is unprecedented. Not so much so when you go through history and you start looking at the different outbreaks and plagues and pestilence that have plagued the earth. It's just unprecedented for this time, for this season, for this century, 21st century. Yeah, but who wants to think about that stuff? Then there's the economic toll and how that works out. And, I was hearing something about a businessman, a restaurateur, had to actually lay off 4,000 employees, about 4,000 employees, and it's only left with 6. I'm wondering if he's going to keep the business or not. It's kind of crazy, Broadway is dark as far as the theater district is concerned. Movie theaters are closed, barbershops are closed, things are at a standstill. I mean, certain, essential employees, emergency service workers are still doing what they got to do. There's a stronger police presence around the way, because there's I guess, a shelter in place order, but they're not calling it that because of the language. The governor, Cuomo, is saying shelter in place is more like a terrorist thing. So, they don't want to use that language, but they're putting life on a pause. And the reality is, I guess you're trying to figure out the, gender neutral or legally acceptable, language. Life is still not on a pause because people have to worry about how their rent is going to get paid, and they're worried about mortgages and stuff like that. And they're saying that the, state and federal government are working something out. But while they're trying to work that out, there are people dealing with the infections, there's deaths, there's people who are afraid, there's folks that are panicking, more people are going into prayer, some folks are going back to church, turning to God, different things. I mean, it's definitely a challenge to see what's what and, how people will cope with where things are going. I mean, like I said, we as a people, as a country, as different nations, we'll survive. We'll get through. Prayers to Italy, though. I mean, Italy is going through it. I mean, I think there was over 600 people that died the other day, in one day. And it's insane. They're saying, unfortunately, New York is on its way to the same fate as Italy. We hope not. One could hope. But with medical hospitals being overrun with COVID-19 patients, you never know, and the lack of supplies and people having to reuse, medical or protective equipment, it only begs the question, how long? Not if, but when, so, you just try to keep the faith, you just try to keep the hope, you just try to listen to the guidelines of social distancing and, being careful to cover your cough and self-quarantining if you're really sick, or just trying to weigh different options, because there's also the thing about if you're sick and you're not showing any symptoms, do you, go out there to the hospital and try to get treatment, or leave it for somebody else that's more, susceptible to death behind the COVID-19 virus. There's some real tough choices that have to be made at this particular time. You know, um, you know, some loved ones have to be lost. Some real coping has to be done. Some belt tightening, to use the economic term, has to be done. Some austerity measures. You don't want to think about these things. Of course, there's government aid that comes with this and whatnot. Some people for the first time may have to deal with certain issues about how you're going to pay your rent, or where you're going to get food from, or coping with not being able to live life as you normally would. It's very interesting how things could turn on a dime. It's real crazy. Because we haven't even been a month yet into this outbreak in America. I don't even think it's been a month. Barely 2 weeks. And now this is supposed to be going into the summer. Some saying potentially to the end of the year. I don't even know what it would look like, going into the second half of the year. But this is 2020, and the crazy thing about it is it's a leap year. So it's going to be like almost like 2020 never happened, but it did. Just, I guess, I don't know. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. And like I said, thoughts and prayers to anybody else out there that's going through any struggles. And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be fearful. It's okay to, have concerns and worries. I just implore you and encourage you not to let them overtake you and take you to a point where, you can't recover or you can't be disciplined. And I try to tell people to be disciplined, try not to get too uncharacteristic. You got folks fighting over tissue and, panic buying and doing all these different things before they know the damage of everything that's actually going on. Try to find out what's going on and stick with your, local newscasts, or watch what's going on around the world if you can. Not too much though, because it can get depressing. It can get worrisome. It can become a situation where anxiety builds up and post-traumatic stress is a issue, or folks going to picking up the bottle, or drug use, which I hope people don't do, but I know that'll be an option. I know that'll be a temptation, or people lean on sex or whatever vice that they choose, and then there's folks that may begin to loot or criminal activity. I'll tell you one thing about criminal activity: it won't stop as long as this planet is spinning. People will figure out a way to turn a scam, but I'm not here to bring you that. What I am saying is that there is hope. We just have to get through the turbulent times. We have to figure out what this infection is going to, produce as far as infected and death toll numbers, and what is the response from the local, state, and federal governments, municipalities across the country, because it's definitely needed. Patience, faith, all those things are definitely required in this situation. And I don't know what you believe in. I don't know how you believe or how you worship, or, what it is that you lean on. But we have to have confidence and faith that things will work out, and just do our part to make sure things happen, in the right way. And I know there's some folks that don't care nothing about that, but also remember that your actions do affect others, and I try to be cognizant of that. My actions do affect others, and it is important how I respond to any particular things that may come, in the days that are before me. It's real out there, and for those folks that are, afloat and do have means, remember, there's also responsibilities on your end, and, it's up to you. So with that being said, tell folks to be safe, take care, stay healthy. See you next time.